In today's video, we embark on a journey into the convergence of the world's most mysterious events. Mount Shasta, we step closer to one of the most enigmatic and paranormal places on Earth. This is a place where not only nature and humans, but also the secrets of the universe and time itself are hidden. The skies watched by aliens, the eerie tales of people who have vanished without a trace, the whispers of restless spirits. All of these mysteries intertwine here, concealed between underground realms and parallel universes. What secrets lie within this place, where everyone gazes in awe? Mount Shasta is a colossal enigma that holds all of these secrets within. And today, let's uncover the truths hidden behind this mysterious place together. From a distance, when you gaze upon Mount Shasta, its beauty is immediately striking, yet so is the eerie disconnection it has with the surrounding landscape. Rising 4,200 meters above the vast flat valleys, it stands alone, separated from the other peaks and mountain ranges, as if it's isolated in its own world. Located in Northern California, Mount Shasta is actually a semi-active volcano. While its last eruption occurred in 1250, in recent years, lava flows from the mountain have triggered several fires. The mountain still holds an unsettling power within, as if it's quietly preparing to awaken. What makes Mount Shasta truly intriguing is that, from the past to the present, everyone who has lived in its shadow has their own extraordinary claims and myths about it. Some speak of lights flying around the mountain, while others claim to have seen ghosts in the forest at its base. Some have lost loved ones near the mountain, while the ancient natives link the region to ancient gods. However, from the Native Americans who have lived in this region for thousands of years to the people of modern-day America, there is one thing they all agree on: no one should ever dare to climb the mountain's peaks, for those summits are the home of beings who descend from the skies. Near Mount Shasta lies a place known as the Petroglyph Point. This site is home to the oldest stone carvings found in the Americas and is considered a protected area. It's believed to date back thousands of years. The ancient natives who created these works etched nearly everything they saw on the stone walls: animals, rivers, the sun, stars, and aliens. Yes, the ancient locals described beings they believed to come from the skies. The natives described these beings as spirits who travel between our dimension and their higher realms. But what if these so-called elevated spirits are actually living beings made of flesh and bone, just like you and me? With just one small difference: they don't belong to this world, they come from another realm. Many ancient cultures have legends of giants living on Mount Shasta. The Modoc people speak of a creature called mythical. Guarding the area is the mysterious being known as Bigfoot, or the Largefoot, said to be the protector of the surrounding forests. In a fascinating twist, despite being thousands of kilometers apart, the Tibetans have a similar term: Tibet's Bigfoot, known as the Yeti. But one can't help but wonder. On one side, Native Americans living on the American continent, and on the other, Tibetans living on the far side of the world in Asia. How is it possible that these two different cultures can tell almost identical stories about the same being? We'll dive into the details of this shortly. Since the 1920s, people have been reporting sightings of large creatures deep within the forests. In 1976, a tourist camping at the base of the mountain heard footsteps in the dark of the night. Thinking it was a local forest ranger coming to check on him, he was shocked to find a massive creature standing before him when he stepped out of his tent. In 1930, a grave was discovered at the base of the mountain. Inside, bones of a being approximately 3 meters long were found. This is not just idle gossip. The grave was indeed uncovered by the local people and made headlines in the newspapers of the time. When you listen to the legends of the natives, you'll notice they are not at all surprised by the existence of these creatures. According to them, thousands of years ago, these giants were the dominant species on the planet. However, after a great flood and cataclysm, they were wiped out from the earth. Yes, the ever-present flood appears once again in the Native American myths of Northern California. However, there is a difference between the giants of today's Yeti or Bigfoot legends and those in Native American lore. According to the tribe's tales, these giants weren't strange ape-like creatures, but rather a race known as the Lemurians. This story leads us to the famous Jesse Braun case. According to the claims, Jesse Braun was the first person to uncover remnants of this ancient civilization. But why don't we know him? Because unfortunately, the story of Jesse Braun did not have a happy ending. In 1904, Jesse Braun was a geologist working for a gold mining company. He was sent by the company to conduct a reserve study in the Mount Shasta area. On the day he was researching the region, Jesse Braun discovered a gap covered with stone rubble. After clearing the area, Braun realized that it led to a hidden cave entrance, and he ventured inside. According to Braun's report, this was a massive tunnel stretching almost 15 kilometers. In hindsight, it's not that strange. As I mentioned earlier, Shasta is a volcanic mountain. Therefore, the formation of vast lava tunnels inside is actually a completely natural occurrence. However, there was something unusual here. As Braun continued through the tunnel, at the end of his path, he reportedly discovered remnants of an ancient city. Among these findings were strange mechanical devices used for mining, tablets, and weapons made of gold. But none of these discoveries were what they seemed, hinting at a much deeper and darker secret lurking beneath the surface. Braun also mentioned finding a chamber resembling a place of worship, with walls adorned with hieroglyphic carvings. Behind this room, there was a tomb chamber containing the remains of 27 giant skeletons. Uncertain about what to do with his discovery, Braun exits the tunnel and seals the entrance with rubble, hiding it from the world. He then leaves the area. Over the years, Braun begins to research the ancient books written by James Churchward about the Mu continent. For those who don't know, Lemuria, sometimes referred to as Mu, is an ancient lost continent believed to have once housed advanced civilizations, similar to Atlantis. According to legends, those who survived the destruction of these continents went on to lay the foundations of the ancient civilizations of Asia, America, and the Middle East. So, what caused the downfall of these advanced civilizations? According to some, these two superior races destroyed each other in the aftermath of a massive war and natural catastrophes. In 1899, Frederick Spencer Oliver published a book titled The Traveler of Two Planets. According to the author, the details in the book were taken from ancient Hindu tablets. These stories suggest that about 1 million years ago, our world was ruled by two races, the Atlanteans and the Lemurians. These two civilizations, far more advanced than our current technology, lived in peace for thousands of years. That is, until about 25,000 years ago, when the Atlanteans began to corrupt and attack the Mu people in an effort to seize complete control. The wars that lasted for years, coupled with the effects of superweapons, caused instability in the Earth's atmosphere and tectonic plates, leading to massive earthquakes and floods. In the end, 64 million people from the Lemurian civilization perished, and Atlantis was similarly wiped from the face of the earth. Those who escaped Atlantis sought refuge in an underground city known as Agartha, according to modern historians and conspiracy theorists. Meanwhile, those who fled from Mu, according to Oliver's book, arrived at Mount Shasta and settled in a sanctuary city named Telos. Having read all these books and local legends, geologist Braun now fully believes he has discovered the ancient city in the tunnel beneath Mount Shasta. 30 years have passed since his first discovery, and now Braun is ready to return to the lost city. But this time, he will not go alone. Braun assembles a team of 80 scientists, engineers, and explorers, and after thousands of years, the lost Lemurian city of Telos is finally ready to be uncovered. The local newspapers give great importance to the topic, publishing reports on the matter. The local people eagerly await the day when the discovery expedition will begin. Finally, the big day arrives. The entire team gathers at the meeting point, anxiously waiting for the group's leader, Braun. But there is a major problem. Braun never shows up to the meeting, and even worse, he is never heard from again. There are all sorts of writings published about Braun's disappearance. Some claim he was a charlatan, even though he never took money from anyone and paid for all the expenses himself. Others suggest that secret organizations may have eliminated him to prevent the discovery from being made. The most intriguing theory, however, is the rumor that Braun was taken by the Lemurian people who reside in the mountain, and that it was done with the aid of flying luminous objects. In fact, for the local people, this is not such an extraordinary claim. According to global UFO sighting reports, Mount Shasta is the 13th region in the world with the most UFO incidents. Over the past 100 years, many people have reported seeing flying lights and objects, both individually and in groups, around Mount Shasta. As usual, we have no concrete proof, only this intriguing video footage taken in 2008. An interesting point stands out in the reports. Many people who claim to have seen UFOs said that the objects flew towards the mountain and quite literally entered into it. Several witnesses have suggested that it operates like some sort of energy portal, with vehicles passing through it. If there is a portal on Mount Shasta, then where does this gateway lead? The sudden disappearance cases around Mount Shasta are not just limited to UFOs. Over the years, many have spoken of mysterious figures that appear suddenly in the forest, only to vanish just as quickly. Additionally, Mount Shasta is one of the areas in the U.S. with the highest number of missing persons cases. In 2011, a family of 3 went camping at the foot of the mountain. While the mother and father set up their tent, they suddenly realized their 4-year-old child had disappeared. They quickly alerted the sheriff, and search and rescue teams began a 5-hour search operation. But the outcome is devastating. The child cannot be found. Just as hope is nearly lost, sounds begin to emerge from the bushes right next to the camp, and the young child is found there. No one can make sense of the situation, as dozens of professional search and rescue personnel and volunteers had combed the area in a widening circle for 5 hours, starting from the camp. Despite all this, the child appeared in the bushes just near the camp. The child is unharmed, and the search is considered a success. However, a few weeks later, things take a mysterious turn. The missing child's grandmother goes to visit the family to see her grandson and spends time with him. What makes things interesting is when the young child says to his mother, "This grandmother is sweeter than my grandmother in the forest." Of course, the mother is surprised and asks, "Who is the grandmother in the forest?" The child explains that the grandmother in the forest found him, took him to a cave, and there were other people there. He then says, "My grandmother took me to a place in the cave with frozen people, and she told me to go to the bathroom on a piece of paper. But I didn't." As the child tells his story, the grandmother at home is struck with horror. She explains that some time ago, she had gone camping in the forest with a friend. Both of them suddenly fainted, and when they regained consciousness, they found a wound on the back of their necks. "We thought we had been bitten by a spider," she adds. She swears she will never go near the base of that mountain again. But is that all? Of course not. In 1999, Carl Landers and 2 of his friends plan a trek to the summit of Shasta. After passing through the forest, they reach an open area at the base of the mountain. The team walks in a single line on the snowy ground, with Carl at the very back. Noticing that there's no sound coming from Landers, his friends look back and are shocked. Carl has disappeared without a trace. The team that had just left the forest with him is at a loss for what has happened. They immediately notify the local authorities. For an entire week, local residents, search and rescue teams, and even thermal camera-equipped helicopters conduct a search. In the vast open area, not a single trace, not even a piece of clothing belonging to Carl Landers, was found. Despite being an extremely experienced mountaineer, what happened to Carl remains a mystery to this day. After all these events, perhaps we can ask ourselves one question. What exactly is happening at Mount Shasta? Can all these occurrences be explained through logic and science? Of course, there is no concrete evidence to prove the events mentioned in ancient legends. After all, these myths have become a part of culture and folklore. Think about it. We are talking about stories passed down for thousands of years. To make the story more intriguing, additions have undoubtedly been made over time. But if we set aside the elaborate details, the era of giants, the flood, and the sky people can be found not only among the native tribes of the region, but also across tribes all over the continent and even in South American civilizations, thousands of kilometers away. So there's no clear answer that can be given to the questions and mysteries surrounding these myths and legends. But there is also the legend of the giant Bigfoot, which people claim to have seen in modern times. The event that made this legend popular began in 1924 when two gold prospectors reported seeing Bigfoot in the forest and described how the huge ape-like creature threw massive rocks at them and charged toward them. After investigations, it was revealed that the giant rocks were actually just regular stones and that the giant footprints had been placed by the two prospectors trying to make the area popular. In other words, it was a completely fake story. So, what about the mysterious portals that supposedly swallow people? Well, this is something that science can explain. In 2013, NASA announced that it had detected a phenomenon known as the X-point. In these interesting points, Earth's magnetic field combines with the Sun's magnetic field. This means there is an energy transfer line between our planet and the Sun, which is millions of kilometers away. Of course, this is not a space gateway. In the end, it's a magnetic energy line. However, theoretically, if such a line can form naturally between the Earth and the Sun, we could also create it with advanced technology. Interestingly, Shasta Mountain is a region where magnetic anomalies are quite intense and occur in triplets. Could this intense magnetism, when desired, create distortions in space-time, enabling temporary portals to open? It does sound like a bit of a forced theory, right? So I can't say for certain whether it's true or false. Let's get to the missing child case. The event is real. However, the story about the grandmother fainting and waking up with a wound on her neck and taking the child to the cave is just something that someone on the internet, claiming to be the child's grandmother, has said. Honestly, I wouldn't call that real. The case of Carl's disappearance, however, is a genuinely occurred event. And it's not just Carl. Many people have actually gone missing in the Shasta Mountain area over the years, without leaving any trace. The UFO sightings around the mountain, however, are not events that we can definitively say are true or false. Due to its structure, Shasta Mountain frequently experiences altocumulus clouds around it. It's likely that these clouds were mistaken for flying objects in the past. However, the sightings of both light and non-light objects flying around the mountain remain an issue worth examining, especially since numerous governments, including the US government, have officially acknowledged UFO documents and made them publicly accessible. Now let's move on to the main topic of our story, the famous Braun case. There are some issues with the story of our hero who claims to have discovered the ancient Telos civilization. In 2017, researcher Stephen Sandoni conducted an in-depth investigation into the matter by reviewing the mining company's records and claimed that there was no one named Braun in any of the documents he could find. Of course, we're talking about documents from over 100 years ago. He himself has stated that he couldn't access all of them. He discovered that, instead of Braun, there was someone named J.B. Body who went to the same place around the same time, and he believes this person was likely influenced by local legends and played a trick on people. But honestly, the claims seemed a bit empty to me, so we can't definitively say if this incident is true or false. I mean, Mount Shasta really is quite a mysterious area and deserves a more detailed investigation. Of course, if you pay attention, these stories always seem to revolve around the same subject. The giants who lived before us, advanced civilizations, and the destruction brought by the flood that led to the rebirth of the human age. With every new archaeological discovery we make, and thanks to the people who freely speak these findings without hiding them from humanity, despite the foolish pressures from academia, we are slowly witnessing the rewriting of the history of humanity as we know it, or rather, as it's been dictated to us. Who knows, maybe one day the pieces of the great puzzle will come together, and we will begin to see the truth much more clearly. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.